I am grateful to an anonymous viewer who sent me this interesting question. What is your advice on how to learn new programming languages? Are big fat books a good idea, perhaps with exercises throughout, or should one try to get going coding right away? I'm a computer science professor at Cambridge. I have been a professional programmer in industry, and I lost count of how many new languages I learned over the past 40 years, so I believe I'm qualified to answer. But I don't know you, and it's factually impossible to give advice that would be valid under all possible circumstances. So let's dig in a little. First of all, I'd need to know your prior experience. Are you new to programming and trying to learn your first programming language, or do you already know several languages and want to learn one more? If you're learning your first language, as part of that process, you need to learn general concepts about programming, such as the idea of a variable, of a function call, passing parameters by value or by reference, nesting one function call inside another, recursion, pointers, data structures, and so forth. Whereas someone who is learning their 10th language understands all those concepts already and just needs to be told what features this particular new language supports and how, and what's the point of learning that language given all the other languages that that programmer already knows. Secondly, it would be useful to know in what context you will be learning. Will you be totally on your own? Will you be attending a course on that language at high school or university? Will you have the privilege of a competent programmer reviewing your code and commenting on it? Once you get beyond the basics, having someone criticize your code and your coding style is crucial for improvement. Make sure the comments come from someone who knows what they're talking about, but being able to accept the criticism and learn from it is invaluable in order to get to the next level. Third, and no less important, different people learn in different ways. And I'm well aware of that as a professional educator, and the optimal advice for one individual might not work very well for another, even if they had the same level of prior experience and they were attending the same class. For example, I like to learn in a pretty structured way, where everything is explained well, starting from the basics, and nothing is swept under the carpet. If I'm shown an example, I want to understand every line of it before moving on. But other people may learn differently. They may not have the patience or the perseverance or the attention span to learn every detail, and they may want to see results early on, even if they don't fully understand how or why the code works. And these two types of learners are better served by different learning resources. The first kind of guy might benefit from a well-structured bottom-up book that starts from the basics and lays a solid foundation before building anything, while the second person might prefer an online tutorial with pre-made exercises where most of the machinery is already there and you just fill in one bit about the part of the language that you're going to learn today. And of course, there could also exist an online tutorial that is bottom-up and starts from the basics, or a book that has plenty of pre-chewed examples on a CD or an associated website or stuff like that. And this third point in turn should be modulated with the answers to my previous questions, because in my case, I've been programming computers since before you were born, and if I learn a new programming language, even if I still want all the details explained, I clearly don't want to waste time being taught what a function is. And so, different people really need radically different suggestions, and that's why I said it's impossible to give advice that would work for everyone. Going back to what you asked, for some people the big fat books are the best. For others, quick skinny books are the best. For some people, lots of exercises are the best. For others, lots of theory and definitions. For some people, starting to code straight away is the best. For some people, something else again is the best, or more likely some combination of the things we said above. If I knew you personally, if I were your professor or your mentor, I would be able to offer specific advice tailored to your case. I'm not, so I can't. But despite all that, I do have one piece of advice for you that has very general applicability, and is also, in my opinion, more important than all the rest, regarding how to learn a programming language, or indeed on how to learn anything at all. Whether you're trying to learn by yourself, or in a classroom, or with a one-on-one mentor, in every one of those cases, you will learn more, and more easily, if you enjoy the learning process. For me as a professional educator, my main goal is not so much to teach you the stuff, but to entice you to want to learn the stuff, and then make you enjoy learning the stuff. My ideal outcome is when, for you, learning the stuff I teach is its own gratification and reward. as opposed to when you learn just so that you can pass an exam later. And if I am able to do that, which I clearly managed to do with some of my students, although not all of them, then you will achieve fantastic results. And this applies whether I'm a university professor teaching computer science topics to a class of 150 students, or when I am a martial arts instructor working out with my students in a dojo, or when I mentor students individually as part of the Cambridge supervision system, or when I'm here on YouTube and anyone in the world can watch whenever they feel like. The single most important factor about the long-lasting success of your learning experience is that you enjoy the learning process and you would do it for its own sake, even if there were no prize at the end. So here's what I recommend you do. Understand how you learn, whether you are a visual learner, verbal learner, intellectual learner, learn by doing person, or whatever else, and choose learning resources that support your learning style. Understand what keeps you motivated, what kind of micro rewards you need along the way to keep you going when it gets difficult. Be proactive and add them to your learning experience, even if you have the privilege of a teacher. Look for things you want to do and can't do yet, and stage them as stepping stones for yourself, starting with easy stuff. For example, I want to know how to download a bunch of files in a batch without having to click on every one. Or I want to know how to plot an automatically updated graph of my daily weight, or of my video game score, or of my investment portfolio, or whatever. Then I want to know how to turn that into my screensaver, or into a responsive page on my website, or into an app on my mobile phone, and so forth. So set goals for yourself. Set goals that are their own reward for you when you achieve them. If you're on your own, use them to gauge your progress. If you have a teacher, then show them what you've achieved. If your teacher's like me, they'll be thrilled that you're actively engaging, and they may offer further suggestions based on what you've done. Learn from the best. When you're picking a book, check out how competent the author is. You want someone who's good at explaining, of course, but before that, you want someone who really knows what they're talking about. Whenever I learn a new programming language, I usually like to grab the book written by the creator of the language. Once you are beyond the basics, there's also much to be learned by reading quality code, such as that which makes its way into the language's library. And I also recommend studying the coding conventions that great programmers use. More than anything else, always find ways to make your learning enjoyable and gratifying. If you enjoy learning, you will be unstoppable and you will go very far. And this applies to every topic, not just learning programming languages. If you have any other computer science or learning questions for me, keep them coming. Thank you very much for watching, and best wishes.